Hey everyone, it's Professor Hall. And I took some time to write some essays for you. I think it's helpful to see the actual process of writing one of these essays. And I want it to be a process that is rewarding for you and that allows you to create a masterpiece. Whether this is your chosen field of writing or not, finding a topic that means something to you is so important. I see often, and I've been teaching this course a long time, that students will go through the list of 300 topics and sometimes think, what sounds easiest? What's easiest? Well, nothing's easiest. And the process is still going to be the process, whether you select a topic that means something important to you or whether you select a topic that seems like it's the easiest. Process is going to be the same. And what happens when I select a topic that means something to me is I can't wait to learn more. And each time I learn something new, I just want to learn more. And that's the point of finding a topic that I enjoy. So the two examples that you see here are one, which is an analysis of literature. And yes, that is a position paper because I'm taking a character and I'm applying some sort of formula to an analysis of that character beyond what the character does. It isn't what the character does, it's why the character does what he does. So you'll see that in that tutorial and the essay that I wrote on Training Day, the Denzel Washington Ethan Hawke film. The second one is decided to write the most difficult type of position paper, and that's a theory. And theories can be very rewarding. They're always rewarding, but they are certainly challenging because two parts exist in that essay. One, I have to establish the facts according to some sort of formula for analyzing those facts. And next, I have to come up with a theory about why that happened. Whether that's taking a cross section of children aged 6 to 8 and finding out how many diagnoses they've been given for this, that, or the other, how many medications they've been prescribed, and a theory about why that's happening. I know, and I hate to say, well, I'm back in my day, but in my generation, there were no labels. It was you went to school and you learned, and there was like the, I remember some students having some dyslexia, and that was worked out. And I knew a couple of teachers who were just fabulous at working with dyslexia. But the business of labeling and then medicating based on labeling is all. So I'd have to find out a theory. Why is that happening? Why did we go from, I'd start with the facts. What was happening in the generation that I came from and those facts. Then I'd have to look at the facts of today and what's happening today, percentages, charts, graphs, numbers, statistics from verified sources, and so forth. And then I'd come up with a theory about why that happened, if that was something that interested me. But what I chose to do was a sociological, anthropological essay that explores some facet of human nature, of humankind. That interests me. And I've always wondered how it was that the Woodstock 1969 concert actually happened. I know that it happened, and I was too young to really go, but I wanted to go, obviously. And so I wrote a theory on that. And the process for me, and I just kind of wanted to share that with you face to face, the process of any essay I've ever written, and that's just, I speak for myself. I don't speak for anybody else other than everybody that I know. And that is that there's a process that is, oh wow, this is so exciting. I can't wait to get into this topic. I'm researching, I'm learning more. I can't wait to share what it is that I've learned about this topic. Oh my gosh, this is so interesting. And then I realize that I'm knee deep into the facts, and now I've got to start thinking about a theory. And I think, I I don't know anything. I don't even know why I picked this topic. There's no way I'm going to know anything. This is, what have I done? And then I take time, I do a methodical thing. I set up on my calendar. If an essay is due, I have it marked on my calendar. 2 hours a day or 2 hours at a sitting, no longer. Because after 2 hours, I'll start thinking about getting a manicure, or I'll just forget what I'm thinking about. So that it's not productive. If I'm at the computer and I'm just frozen and I'm not learning anything, that's not productive. So I'll take a break and walk around the block and come back and make a nice cup of coffee and then, sit down and, open it back up again and think about it there. So what happened in the Woodstock essay for me is I'm going along with all my facts and the wow factor of the numbers of people that were involved in that festival. And I just had this little moment of clarity where I went, there is no way to explain how 4 million people were either at, trying to get to, camped around in the towns nearby, coming down from Canada, coming across from the Great Lakes, coming across from Canada, coming up from Texas, coming up from Georgia. How there's no way to explain that. No communication, no computers, no email, no Instagram. Those weren't even dreams in anybody's head at that time. So then I start thinking about how incredibly well the entire event turned out despite everything going wrong. And so I show you in the tutorial, it's an hour-long tutorial where I show you my entire process. And then below you can see the PDFs of these two essays. And I think you can look at the PDF of the essay and maybe think one of two things. Wow, she puts a lot of pictures in there. Yes, I do. I'm writing sociological essays and I'm all for my reader. I want my reader to always be interested. And I think pictures and graphs are one of the best ways to keep the audience engaged, my reader engaged. I don't want to have them fill in the blanks. For example, when somebody will write, many people were involved. Now the reader has to think, well, how many people is many? I don't know. The other thing is, one little point, I just want to point this out to you, just whatever it is that you're doing. So I'm using the context for this festival, which was the Vietnam War. Okay, and there's no way to really communicate the feelings of young men during the Vietnam War. Many of my friends enlisted because they were patriots and they wanted to make the armed forces their career path, and they are still my friends today. And I had some friends who were waiting to be drafted, and it was a whole completely different story for them. So at the end of the day, the fact still remains that 125,000 troops were sent to South Vietnam. So I want my reader to appreciate the size of Vietnam. And so I can say, I don't know about you, but I don't have a mental context for numbers. If somebody says 3 trillion, I don't have a feel for what that is. I just hear the number 3. I don't even, you can put as many zeros as you want to after it. I still can't imagine it. But what I did in my essay is I wrote that for good or for bad, the president decided that it was necessary to send 125,000 troops to a country half the size of Texas. Now I have a context. So those are kinds of some of the things I use. I try to be exact with my language. And I just want you to have a look at it, see what you think. And it maybe might help you some to go through the process. All right, that concludes this tutorial. Welcome to the course. I hope that you'll find something exciting and meaningful that you would like to work out in your essay. Bye, y'all.